Which wide receivers of this rookie class are going to have the best careers? We're going head-to-head. It's Tuesday. That means head-to-head battles, Crock and I, right now on Locked On NFL Draft.
Let's go.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of the Locked On NFL Draft Show. I'm your host, former NFL and NFL defensive back, Eric Crocker, and of course, as always, joined by my co-host, Ryan Tracy. He's at Ryan Tracy NFL on Twitter, and also you can find me at Eric_Crocker on Twitter. We want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. And if you can't tell, I got a little bit more bounce in my step right now. I'm a little more excited for two reasons. One, we get to talk about receivers and their best careers, but two, I got my setup back, man. I got my mic back, so I should sound a little clearer in the sense of the quality of sound, not so much my voice. I know I got that raspy voice. But I'm excited about all that, man. Not recording from my phone right now, so give y'all the quality that y'all deserve. But this is an exciting episode because we get to talk about who's going to have the better career between some of these guys, pin them against each other, and then at the end we'll follow up with who we think out of all the guys will have the best career out of this rookie class. But Ryan doesn't know which guys I have going up against each other in the first segment, second segment, third segment. So this is going to be really fun because he has no idea. So we get to hear his thoughts off the cusp, all right? So First up, first battle, you got wide receiver from New Orleans Saints, Chris Olave, going up against Garrett Wilson, receiver for the New York Jets. These guys were college teammates at Ohio State, but we need to find out who is going to have the better career of the two and why. So the floor is yours. Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson?
Career is difficult because I don't know that we know who the quarterback's going to be in New York for the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years for Garrett Wilson, right? The same is true for New Orleans, like bottom line, but I think you feel better about the established veteran in New Orleans being able to at least deliver the ball. Now, he might throw a boatload of interceptions, you never know, but he's going to throw the ball a lot to the right guy as well. So that's a tough one in terms of the quarterback toss-up. Both of them could get in a rut and have to play with rookies as their third year or their fourth year quarterback, right? But I will say this, in terms of what is established for the offense in order to move the ball more, I think right now you have to think that the Saints have a better overall offensive roster, right? However, they're also under the cap, and they're going to have some difficulties as they have going through and maintaining that kind of thing. Whereas I feel the Jets, even if this doesn't work out with Zach Wilson, they're going to have the ability to add to their roster and come up, and I think they're going to get defensive support. So there may not be as many points scored in New York, but I do think that they're going to have the players to have that ability. So I'm going to lean right now, tonight. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm going to lean Olave right now.
So Olave is going to have the better career. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I believe, and we both agreed that Olave will have the better of all these guys, right? Rookie year. Mm-hmm. But if we're talking about career, I just have to believe that at some point it will click for Zach Wilson. We know he has all the ability and potential. Maybe he just needs a guy that's going to, catch the ball. They had a lot of drops last year. We also know that Garrett Wilson's a guy who can separate, definitely. I think you pair him with Elijah Moore, and you have a lot of speed, you have a lot of ability, but I also think that Garrett Wilson's the more consistent threat on a down-and-down basis. All right, so from that standpoint, and with Zach Wilson, I think he's going to continue to kind of take steps in the next direction. I like him, and I think that's going to be the guy. Now, again, I love Chris Olave, especially for his rookie year, playing with Jameson Winston, but Jameson Winston, I mean, he's going to be there, one more year, maybe two, If Zach Wilson does what he was drafted to do, which is continue to get better each year, I mean, this is a guy, he's going to be there for the next 10 years. And I just think there's going to be a little bit more consistency at the quarterback position for Garrett Wilson. And not just consistency, but a quarterback that's also a gunslinger, a guy that isn't scared to kind of make those risky throws, right? We talk about that a lot with Jameson Winston, but I think Zach Wilson can potentially be version of that maybe takes care of the ball a little better. Now, we didn't quite see that his rookie year. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns. But again, I think the more he kind of has more support in the offensive line, they had a lot of injuries last year. Continue to kind of build on that, add the weapons, and a guy like Garrett Wilson who maybe can potentially just grow into just being his guy.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have the better career of the two guys.
Okay.
So that's the first one. Can't wait to hear what everybody else has to think about that. Now, we have another battle here in this first segment. Drake London from the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta
Falcons, those two.
Right? Against Christian Watson, Green Bay Packers. Now, when I thought about this one, all right, and I know we like both of these guys, again, the quarterback position, I think both of these quarterback situations are temporary, right? For the next 2 years, we will see Aaron Rodgers there in Green Bay. How much longer after that? We don't know. But we do know that, I mean, they've only had really 2 quarterbacks over the last 30 years. So we at the very least know they've done a good job of picking that long-term quarterback when that time comes. And is it Jordan Love? Probably not. I'd assume he'd be on another team in the next year or so. But I think both of these receivers are going to have question marks at the quarterback position moving forward. I have more faith in Green Bay. So I'm actually going to go Christian Watson. I think right away he should be in a more advantageous situation with who he has throwing him the ball with Aaron Rodgers. Once you get on the same page with him, I mean, we saw what that did for Devontae Adams. Now, obviously, it took a few years, and they had Jordy Nelson throughout that transition. Right now, there is no Jordy Nelson. It's kind of all on Christian Watson to be a guy that they can count on. Can he be that guy right away? I don't know, and that's going to be a tough year one because you do have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, who I think the expectations are going to be high. How patient will he be with the development of a young receiver? And we know how Aaron Rodgers can kind of be. It kind of has that smug kind of vibe to him a little bit, but he's going to demand perfection. I do think that Christian Watson is a guy that's going to work extremely hard. Again, he's coming from North Dakota State, so you're learning a whole lot of new stuff there in the sense of really passing and throwing the ball. And Green Bay is going to throw the ball way more. They run the ball a lot more now, but they're still going to throw the ball a ton more than what saw North Dakota State. Even then, I think Christian Watson is going to grow into that role. And Drake London over there in Atlanta, I just don't know from year to year what's going to happen there. The quarterback situation is not great. Do they have the long-term guy in Desmond Ridder? I know you like it, but, I mean, Marcus Mariota, I just have a lot of questions there. Green Bay, I feel like even after Aaron Rodgers is going to figure it out. So I got Christian Watson. What are you thinking?
I think you said it best when we talk about Aaron Rodgers potentially being in Green Bay for 2 years. I agree with you. I don't think Jordan Love's there after that point either. So I think it's starting from scratch. Bakhtiari won't be there either. You're losing your left tackle. I think there's a lot more questions on the future in Green Bay and how they choose to retool. The next era of the Green Bay Packers, I think, is less certain and it's harder to predict. So for me, if they aren't able to reload a quarterback quite as effectively, if they aren't able to add more targets to the wide receiver room, then I think that allows defenses to take Watson away more effectively, playing over the top, double teaming him. And if he gets to that level that he demands that kind of respect, then I think that's available to do unless they can build up the rest of their pass catching targets. So I'm going to say with Pitts on board and London being able to be a two-pronged attack, I do like Ridder probably more than most. And even if they have to go away from that, I do think overall at the end of their careers, I think Drake London ends up in a better spot.
Ooh, and I like Drake London, man. Shout out to Drake London from the West Coast, California, USC. Fight on. I hope he has a great career, but right now I'm going with Christian Watson, the kid out of Florida. Coming up next, we're going to talk about a few more guys. They're going to compete. Who's going to have the better career out of those guys? Can't wait for Ryan to hear who we have up next. But first, we want to talk to you a little bit about Blue Nile. And at BlueNile.com, you can celebrate all of life's special moments, from creating a custom engagement ring of her dreams to gifting a classic and timeless jewelry piece. All at prices that you won't find at your traditional jeweler. All right. Whether you are ready to pop that big question or you are celebrating a milestone moment, find a jewelry that is as unique as her with modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Build the engagement ring of her dreams or celebrate life's special moments with fine jewelry. No matter what you're looking for, Blue Nile has the jewelry experts on hand 24/7 so they can help you. You don't have to go into this blind or by yourself. They got you. All right. Make your moment sparkle with the jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On NFL Draft listeners get $50 off of purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. All right. So again, use promo code Locked On. That's promo code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging, and they won't know what's inside. All right, unless they're really nosy like my wife is. So I probably, we'll see. I have to be a little bit even more discreet. All right, so shop stress free and find your forever piece at BlueNile.com. Here at Locked On NFL Draft, we want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. They also have something going on right now, the ultimate NBA mock draft, and that starts on June 16th with over 50 insiders. Nothing equals the ultimate NBA mock draft. All right, the Locked On NBA Big Board draft experts plus the Odyssey insiders. First pick is June 16th. Search ultimate NBA mock draft and follow now so you don't miss out on a pick. Up next, Jameson Williams, rookie out of Alabama, headed to the Detroit Lions, coming off of a torn ACL, against John Mechie, rookie out of Alabama, heading to the Houston Texans. Who do you think has the better NFL career?
This is a tough one because both of these franchises have been in a certain amount of disarray over the last few years. No one more so than the Houston Texans. Now they finally got rid of the quarterback cloud that's been kind of hanging over them. Does that allow them to turn it loose and get there? I think Davis Mills is viable, but is there enough to support that progression? Because it's really not about this year for either of these players, in my opinion. Because they were both hurt fairly late in the season, Jameson even more so. Like I this year, you can't rely on that to affect his career totals as much. And Jared Goff, I don't know how long he's going to be there. Can Dan Campbell rebuild and retool that roster to protect for time and have another viable quarterback of the future to really pair with Jameson going forward? I honestly cannot say that I think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be another veteran that has to come in. I think they're going to have to trade for the quarterback position in the future. That makes it more difficult. It makes it a steadier career for Jameson Williams, in my opinion, but I don't know that it makes it as explosive. So the big question is, Davis Mills enough to get John Mechie through the first, what? Davis is under contract for 2 or 3 more years, right?
Right.
So you have that chunk up front of his career. This is close. This is really close. And I think if the Lions are able to retool, that's going to be their challenge at the quarterback spot. But that allows Jameson to be Jameson. I think he will heal. And at the end, I think he has a slightly better career because of the quarterback play that he'll be paired with.
You know, I like that we're kind of disagreeing on all these. I'm going with John Mechie.
Are you?
And this is why, all right? This is why. So, listen, the fans, they're either going to hate you or hate me, all right? So, but they won't be able to hate both of us. I guess that's a good thing. I'm going with John Mechie because the Houston Texans, again, I get the whole Davis Mills thing, and I've been pushing back on that. I think people are so down on Davis Mills, and I believe that it's mostly because he was a third-round pick. This is a guy that was coming out of Stanford. He had all the ability. He was able to make all the throws, but there was just a lack of experience. He didn't play a whole lot. I think he played in 13 total college games, right? So there's not a lot, and it wasn't like high level, right? I mean, there were a couple other quarterbacks in that class that didn't play a whole lot of football. One was Mack Jones out of Alabama, played 17 games, but he won national title. Trey Lance, he only played 17 games, but also won the national title, went undefeated. So there was a little bit more behind, inexperienced, but a little bit more behind that, where you're not really getting that with Davis Mills. But I saw a lot of big-time ability, and I saw a rookie quarterback who, while he had his lumps, just like all the other rookies, I think he showed, I'm a legit quarterback. And I thought he played, I don't know if there was a better quarterback outside of Mack Jones as a rookie than Davis Mills. But he doesn't get the love because, he was a third-round pick. As far as John Mechie, I think that helps his career. I think that Davis Mills will eventually be that Kirk Cousins type quarterback where he's never maybe the best, maybe never in that elite category, but he's always going to be that guy that's going to be hard to move on from. So if you told me that 8 years from now, Davis Mills is still the quarterback of the Houston Texans, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And if John Mechie is there and they get to grow together, I think that's going to definitely help his career. So I'm going with John Mechie here, rookie out of Alabama. All right,
I like it.
That's kind of my spiel on that. We'll see how everybody feels about that. Next up, we got Alec Pierce, the rookie out of Cincinnati, going up against Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. Now, Treylon Burks, he's over there in Tennessee with the Titans. Alec Pierce, he's in Indianapolis with the Colts and Matt Ryan. Who do you got?
These guys are similar in one key way. They have the best 2 run games in the NFL. And I think that helps them. And I think that helps their quarterbacks with the play action aspect of it. At the end of the day, it turns into evaluation and what you're going to do to retool because they're both aging quarterbacks. Now, Malik Willis is already on board in Tennessee. That helps. And growing up together, that really helps. I think the 2 of them are going to be very dynamic. I think Alec Pierce has a very good career in front of him, but he's not going to have Matt Ryan for long. And they're going to have to, I have utter faith in Chris Ballard to find a viable quarterback. But that lull in when a rookie comes in and then starts to play, I think that's going to add up on terms of the careers of these wide receivers. So, man, that's tough. I think they'll be creative, more so creative in Indy than they will be in Tennessee, even though Burks has more creativity to his personal game. Man, that's also another tough one. I'm gonna go down your rabbit hole, and I am gonna take Trey Burks because I think they're gonna find more ways to use him over his career.
Right, and we're going to disagree again, and I love Treylon Burks. Kid from Arkansas, right up the road, Warren, about 20 minutes away from me. But I'm going to go with Alec Pierce here because I just feel like his skill set is something that is really easy for all quarterbacks. He can be that safety blanket. He knows how to, settle in zones and show his numbers and good catches. He can win over the top. He can win with routes. He can win with size, speed. I think he just has, right now, a little bit more complete game. Does he have as much upside as Treylon Burks? Maybe not. That can be disputed. Actually, you could say he might have more, right? I mean, a guy that had the highest vertical jump at the combine. So obviously he tested very well. He put all that on display at Cincinnati, beating defensive backs. I think he's a guy that they're going to move around. If he settles in as more of a big slot, I think he's going to be terrific in that role, whether he's catching passes from Matt Ryan or if he's catching passes from maybe a future guy like, I don't know, Jimmy Garoppolo or whoever the case is, right? Whoever ends up there in Indianapolis. So I'm actually going to go with Alec Pierce. I think he's going to have the better career. Hope I'm wrong. I really like Treylon Burks, but Alec Pierce, I've been banging the table for this guy since the draft, and we'll see if that kind of
I think you
out that way.
I think you changed my mind.
Did I?
I think you did, actually. I'm officially changing to Pierce as well.
All right, yeah, he's an easy guy. I feel like he's going to be an easy guy to throw the ball to. Just he has all the ability. He can play all over the field. I think the route running is good. The separation at the line of scrimmage. We'll see if that continues, but I saw a lot of that at Cincinnati, and that's why I was so high on him. Thought he would have been great in Green Bay. Didn't go there. We got another couple guys here, a couple guys that went to a historic organization that's very well known for drafting receivers. And then we have a couple of speedsters now pinning up against each other. But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about betonline.net and how it is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports information. Find all the latest sports developments, news, and odds, including this year's basketball championship finals that are going on right now, the NHL Hockey Conference Finals, Major League Baseball, and, of course, all the latest fighting news from MMA and UFC, all the way to boxing. All right, BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. Head over right now to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action going on at BetOnline, where the game starts. Here we go, Ryan. Calvin Austin versus George Pickens. Two guys, rookies. You got Calvin Austin from Memphis, drafted to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you have George Pickens, second-round pick out of Georgia, high upside, son of Carl Pickens, Bengal great. All right. The Steelers, they drafted very well at the receiver position, but they typically don't hit on multiple guys in one draft class. So one of these guys is going to pan out. The other one, we'll see what happens. Which guy is it that you think is going to pan out?
Wow. That's a great question because it's about usage, it's about survivability. One has a significant injury history, and one is a guy whose stature does not lend itself to a long career in the NFL, right? This is tough. At the end of the day, how you're utilized is going to be, I think, key. And I don't know that the creativity is going to be there, even as Kenny Pickett will eventually become the starter there. I think you're going to rely on straight ahead run game, Najee Harris, whoever else they augment with. And I think you're going to see some classic play action stuff. I think that lends itself towards George Pickens rather than what I think if you were in a more creative offense that got the ball into Calvin Austin's hands a little bit more often and in more different ways, I would lean him. But I'm going to go Pickens for right now.
All right, and I'm going with Calvin Austin.
Are you?
That's
okay.
Just been my guy. I'm going with Calvin Austin, the little guy. He was the guy, man, I'm watching him, and he has to go up against these big corners on the outside, and I think everybody's going to peg him as a slot receiver, and we'll see. Maybe he is. But I saw outside ability, and we watched him live at the Senior Bowl. And next to Christian Watson, Calvin Austin was the most dominant receiver there. And the defensive backs, they didn't know how to guard him. Do we press him at the line of scrimmage? Oh, man, they're worried about getting hands on him because he's so quick and he's so fast. Okay, let me play off. Oh, he's blowing right by them. Okay, let me guard him in the slot. He's blowing by them. He's running routes. He's turning guys around. I thought he was so good there, and he just showed how dynamic of a receiver he was. And then, obviously, he goes to the combine. He tests extremely well. We saw what he did at Memphis, and even if he's not a great receiver, which I hope he is, I think he's going to be a terrific return guy as well. So I think this is a guy that's going to be covering all bases. I think he's focused. His head is in the game. Small in stature, like you said. I mean, he's listed less than 5'8", but you look at him, he's 5'8", man. 5'8". He's a stout guy, about 175. Doesn't weigh a ton. He's going to have to be able to win with that separation. I think he has it. And I think as we'll see what happens with Deontay Johnson. He's another guy from that 2019 class where those guys are all looking for new contracts. One guy we have not heard anything about contract talks with is with Deontay Johnson. We've heard about Debo, Terry McLaurin, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, all those guys. Haven't heard a peep about Deontay Johnson. Are they going to keep him for the long haul? I don't think so. So I think Calvin Austin is going to be that guy who might be that target hog, like what we've seen from him. Again, different quarterbacks now. You got Trubisky. We'll see what happens with him. Kenny Pickett. But I think Calvin Austin fits what they want from him. He's going to fit into that role and be that target hog guy, whether it's at the line of scrimmage or downfield, speedster, stretch the field. So I'm going with Calvin Austin there with a better career between him and George Pickens. All right, but we got two more guys that we're going to pin against each other. Johann Dotson out of Penn State. Speedster, heads over to the Washington Commanders against Reggie Gray. Speedster, out of SMU, heads over to the San Francisco 49ers. Washington Commanders,
Gray,
Carson
Reggie
Wentz.
Gray, did I get that right?
Danny Gray, excuse me.
Okay,
I played with a guy, Reggie Gray, in the winning league. He helped
how
win the
works,
championship. Shout out to my guy, Reggie Gray. He's going to be probably, maybe I'll have to send that clip to him. But Danny Gray, excuse me. Guys, Danny Gray. There we go, Danny Gray.
Oh, man. Carson Wentz is not long for this league. I'm just going to tell you that. Heineke, Howell, you're dependent on those guys. I like Johann Dotson a lot. I think he's in a pretty bad situation with his offense and his quarterback. I still have faith in Trey Lance. The question is going to be, how do you fit in the offense if you're Danny Gray? You tell me, how many snaps are you going to get as a rookie?
That's a tough thing. 49ers, I mean, they have these receivers right now. I feel like their top three receivers are pretty solidified with Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and Juwan Jennings as a big slot. So where does Danny Gray fit in there? Danny Gray got his name right that time. Where does Danny Gray fit in there?
That's the problem. Jahan's going to have more opportunity, but lesser quarterback play, in my opinion. I like Trey Lance. So flip a coin. I'll go Danny Gray.
Well, this might be the one time we agree because I'm going Danny Gray as well. And the reason why is because, remember, this is for a career, not just for this year. So, yeah, maybe year one as the 49ers have all these different guys and we'll see, whatever. But when guys start kind of, growing to a role and Trey Lance and Danny Gray get to really kind of grow and develop with each other. And one of these guys are not going to be the 49ers. Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, they're not going to play with each other the entire time. So over the next year or so, 49ers are going to have to make some decisions. And is Danny Gray the guy that ends up stepping in and be like, hey, you know what? Hey, hello, I can be wide receiver 2. Or, you know what? I could be your wide receiver 1 guy stretching the field and let Trey Lance cock back and throw the ball downfield as far as he can. And if that happens, I believe Danny Gray, at least we'll see that consistency. We know Kyle Shanahan, the kind of mastermind he is as an offensive coordinator, being able to utilize that speed. He's been looking for that speed guy. All right, they've been signing guys. They signed one, they had Marquise Goodwin starting off. And then they went and signed guys like J.J. Nelson, Tavon Austin, Travis Benjamin. They've been looking for that pure speedster and haven't been able to really find that guy that's going to fit that role. They say, you know what, we're going to draft a guy at the end of the 3rd round, and Danny Gray, and he's going to be that guy. So can he grow into more with that? We'll see. He has a quarterback that is not scared to throw the ball down the field. So I'm going to go Danny Gray. We finally agree on one.
Well, let me give you one more thing. When Johann Dotson signs with another team as a free agent, when he comes to Kansas City, he might be able to pass Danny Gray. How's that?
Oh man, yeah, Danny Gray. And for the Washington Commanders, man, they're gonna want Dotson to be that guy. It's a guy that they have traded back, and they got a speedster. I believe that they wanted Garrett Wilson. That's why I think Garrett Wilson got picked right before them, and they said, let's trade back. They still got a speedster in Johann Dotson, and I've been a little bit higher on Carson Wentz and other people, but how long is he going to stay there? It seems like he's going to be there for a year or so, and then people have been moving on from him. They don't like him, and then, okay, you got to depend on Sam Howell or Heineke. Like, who's going to be the long-term guy? Big-time question marks there in Washington. And they also got something going on, a dust-up or something. I don't know. Something.
Yeah, there's something going on.
Something going on. But nothing's going on here with this dynamic duo right here between myself at Eric_Crocker on Twitter and my guy Ryan Tracy at Ryan Tracy NFL on Twitter. We want to thank you for making us your first listener of the day. And did we leave some guys out? Who do y'all want to hear about? Matter of fact, real quick before we exit, who has the best career out of all these guys?
Oh, Drake London.
Woo, Drake London. All right, and I'm gonna throw a wild card here. I'm gonna go Alec Pierce. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. I like Alec Pierce's game a lot. Maybe I'm just a lot higher on him than other people, but I just think he's gonna fit with anybody he comes in contact with. But that's gonna do it. Y'all let us know who the best receiver from this class will be, who will have the best career, not just rookie year, not just fantasy league career. The next 10 to 15 years from all these guys. Want to hear from you and more. Keep it locked right here. Locked On NFL Draft. Let's go. We out. Peace.